think we all remember the storm of October of 2013.
Storm Atlas hit fast and furious.
Tree branches and power lines collapse under the weight of heavy snow. And after more than 30 inches of snow fell, this is the scene all across the Black Hills.
When Winter Storm Atlas rolled through Rapid City, it devastated this community.
We lost 85% of our cows in the blizzard.
Disaster brings out the best in us. It's that simple. When the needs are so great that every single agency feels overwhelmed, it's then that you unify and you really pull together.
And we immediately started reaching out to our partner agencies. So Salvation Army, Lutheran Social Services, Catholic Social Services, anybody that's been involved with, that we have a relationship with, but particularly those that are involved in the United Way.
And I'm just so glad that the United Way, who put all the agencies together, keeps us all together as one team.
It was terrible here. You couldn't see, the wind was blowing, snowing, and I wondered if I was going to get a meal or not.
The seniors of our area really depend upon the meals that we provide on a daily basis. During the Winter Storm Atlas, they weren't able to get out. They weren't able to get the food that they normally would be able to. Our volunteers couldn't even get out to deliver the meals like they usually did on a weekday basis. We called upon the United Way agencies, and the Red Cross was able to come up with vehicles to be able to deliver the meals, and the Salvation Army was able to prepare the meals.
We pulled in a number of people who had four-wheel drive vehicles and asked them to come and help us to feed the seniors. And we just loaded up the back of our trucks, went from door to door, tried to make sure people were safe in their home, that they were well, and that they knew the community and the United Way cared about them and wanted to check on their well-being.
Somebody knocked on the door and it was the Red Cross that delivered to me, and I was really happy about it and thanked them so much.
We would have never been able to do this without the help and the partnership of the Salvation Army. They stepped forward, they brought in teams, they prepared a good and hearty meal, and then the Red Cross was able to go out and deliver that to the people in our community.
We did 1,826 meals. 1,300 of those was delivered by the American Red Cross. It takes a lot of agencies. We were helping a lot of other agencies.
We got a call from Wellspring saying, we've been without power, we're going to be moving our kids to one location, and we would like to see if we could get some assistance from the American Red Cross.
Here at Wellspring, we provide 33 beds and a home away from home for children who are abused, neglected, or who have chemical dependency problems. So when Storm Atlas hit, we had a little bit of a problem. The power went out, and we had all of these children and the staff who were watching them without a way to get home or a way to have power. So our first call was to Richard at the Red Cross. We wanted to know if he could help us and to figure out what was going on.
That assistance from us came in the form of we provided them blankets. Because they were moving all the kids into a central location, we're going to have them all sleeping in a building that didn't have heat.
He also helped us get in touch with the Salvation Army, and they got us meals for 4 days. So that was amazing because we were able to have meals for lunch and dinner for the kids, and our cook came in and she was helping prepare all of the food. They also got us in touch with the fire department, who has additional fruits and vegetables, and that was a wonderful resource to know about. But it was really amazing to see how everyone rallied to the support as soon as they possibly could. So we at Wellspring are just so grateful for all of the United Way agencies that came together and all of the businesses in our community to help support the youth we serve and to help everyone make it safely through the storm.
Eastern Pennington just had a tremendous number of cattle loss, and you would literally see families just sort of in shock, not knowing what to do.
We invested everything we had into our cows, and they were all we had.
So it was a day before we could even get dug out of our yard, let alone get anywhere. And
there was a moment when we were saddled up, ready to ride down to go get the survivors, that we hesitated and really didn't want to go do what we knew we had to do. Back in 2008, we took out a loan and purchased some bred heifers. One of those heifers came down with a deadly illness. She was basically a bag of bones. My husband said there's just no hope for her, and we just we figured that she would die. Well, she lived, and when we ultrasounded heifers that year, well, she was bred, and she carried that calf and raised a big, healthy calf that year. So every time we'd see her out in the pasture, I said, oh, well, there's that cow that gives you hope. So I just started calling her Hope. After the storm, and he gathered up the survivors, and out comes Hope marching up out of the creek bottom. And when I saw her coming up out of there, I just yelled to my husband down the creek. I said, is that Hope? And he said, yes, can you believe it?
You find that rural reality of western South Dakota is ranchers are very independent, prideful people, but they're also very generous people. So even in the midst of tremendous loss, some of them who had lost 80% of their livestock, they still agreed to come in and talk to me. And obviously that just sort of opened the door for us to begin to talk about where they were at, how they were doing.
Financially, we were done. There was just no possible way that we could ever pay back that debt that we had. There was a lot of agencies that banded together and formed kind of a coalition. They started the Ranchers Relief Fund. The donations started pouring into that from people, I suppose, all across the world, but wanted to give and wanted to help. And Lutheran and Catholic social services were kind of at the forefront of that. And I probably got 10 calls. They called a bunch just asking how we were and if we needed help right now, and just how groceries or
counseling.
And it just really felt good that they were thinking about us.
This great big huge 25-year-old ranch guy gives me a hug, and he just says, you'll never know what you've done for me and my family. And the truth of the matter is he'll never know what he did for me, because he reminded me of what it means to be a neighbor. And he reminded me why Catholic Social Services and the United Way and all of us exist.
Truly, people's generosity and what just a help up can do for somebody, and how a help up can give hope and a future.
Many organizations came together to provide relief after the blizzard. Organizations like the Salvation Army, Lutheran Social Services, Catholic Social Services, and Mena Luzon Senior Center.
Even as a senior center, we asked ourselves the question, what can we do to help? An event of this magnitude requires the mobilization of the entire community. So we learned about an opportunity to work and network with other wonderful nonprofit organizations. And we knew that our facility was centrally located in this town, and we had the space available to host some of the volunteer teams coming in and go out into the community, cleaning up tree limbs and other things that might not have been taken care of otherwise.
There was a lot of people that needed help with the disaster cleanup efforts, and we had anywhere from people that had medical emergencies, people that didn't have water supply yet, people that didn't have power. All these people were in need of help, and there's trees down and debris covering driveways and cars. And so we immediately went into volunteer mode, and we ended up having a group of Mormon missionaries approach about that they wanted to help, and they wanted to help spearhead to get others involved. So they helped us develop a Google Maps system, and we ended up dispatching volunteers around all over Rapid City and all over the Black Hills. We had volunteers in Sturgis and in Spearfish and Belfouche and Rapid City, and so we had volunteers step up. They just heard about the disaster and they called 211. And what 211 would do is send the list of volunteers and the people in need to Pennington County Emergency Management, and then they would send it to me, and I would find volunteers and dispatch them out to the projects.
We were so delighted with the response that we got from the community and the number of people who came out to help us in that difficult time.
The impact of the blizzard isn't over. The community is going to be affected for a number of years. Some of the ranchers it's going to take them 2-3 years to get themselves back up and running. That's going to have a big impact on people, and to understand that from United Way perspective that these needs are going to be there ongoing. There's always going to be another disaster, and being able to have United Way there to help those people through is going to be important.
Day after day, year after year, Our United Way agencies and their volunteers work together to meet the needs in our communities, providing thousands of meals, companionship, and a place to gather for the elderly, positive activities, and nutritious meals for our youth, free prescriptions to those who have to choose between food and medication, counseling for families in crisis and those battling addictions, emergency assistance with food, rent, utilities, and clothing, and emergency shelter for victims of violence. By working together, we make every dollar count and give help, hope, and a future to those who need it most. Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people. We are all connected. And whether you give a little or a lot, your gift matters. $1 provides 5 meals to families in need. $5 provides 3 bus tokens to search for a job, get an appointment, or get a child to school. $15 a month provides a child with a backpack of food each weekend for the entire school year. $25 provides 1 night's stay in a shelter for a mother and her children escaping from domestic violence. $30 provides 1 book a month for a year for a preschool child. $50 provides new winter coats for 3 children. When we all work together, we can provide a help up and give hope and a future to those who need it most. That's what it means to live united.